Other interesting cultural news, you have Matt Walsh reacting to a student who used ChatGPT on his final project to graduate college. This is brought to us thanks to Matt Walsh, and he's responding to someone by the name of Fear Buck. And Fear Buck says, quote, UCLA graduate celebrates and showing off their ChatGPT that he used for his final projects right before officially graduating. It's about 35 seconds. And of course, he does what is that, fancy like a MacBook there? That's pretty good. About $5,000 in his hand, probably, give or take. He's actually showing his laptop there. Yeah. Now, Matt Walsh did respond, and he says, quote, the education system is over. It's done. It's been failing for decades, and AI just killed what was left of it. The next generation of students will use AI to complete every assignment, and the system has no way of stopping them. The only solution is hyper-localized, hyper-personalized education. Homeschoolers are the only way that kids will have a real education going forward. Well, statistically speaking, they'll also be safe from abuse. And that got 1.2 million views and 20,000 likes, one of his top tweets of the year. Well, not tweets, but posts, but I still call them tweets. Which, yeah, homeschooling not just is safer for your kids, but I'd argue, not being indoctrinated by woke leftist crap. The teacher's not coming out of the closet to the kids and asking for praise. So there's a myriad of reasons. It seems like public schools are more worried about agendas versus actually teaching science, mathematics, and, actual school things. Now, one of the first comments comes to us thanks to Heartland Grump saying, quote, I disagree. The man has been fully prepared for a role in corporate middle management. He has no idea how to complete the necessary work, but he takes full credit for the work that is done by someone else. A 1.3 thousand likes, and from someone who came from working at one of the largest tech companies in the world, I would say, yeah, that's pretty accurate. There's a lot of middle management who has a job, but I don't think they really should have a job. Now, Evil Knievel says, quote, the teachers' unions made themselves non-essential workers who could be replaced by laptop, getting 441 likes. David Santa Clara says, quote, he took out $250,000 in debt to get a piece of paper, getting 587 likes. Yeah, that's the issue with most colleges now. They're also mostly indoctrination centers. I would argue you actually don't learn true critical thinking, actually building skill sets. You can make the argument that there's some prestige in something like a Harvard degree if you're a lawyer or a doctor in certain industries that could increase your net worth potential. But in terms of actual learning, I'm highly, highly skeptical. And I got a college degree and I got it in business, but in the first year of starting and owning a business, I learned more than in all 4 years of college combined. Now, you also have Mr. Pitbull, though I don't think it's a singer unless he has a disproportionate amount of time in his hands to tweet. Maybe it is. Mr. Pitbull says, quote, he's quoting Vivek Ramaswamy, who says, quote, if kids can't read by the end of 4th grade, then they shouldn't graduate to the 5th grade until they can. Artificially passing students and patting them on the back isn't compassion, it's cruelty. Thoughts? In 382, so I get 383 likes, which another big issue with the school system in the United States and the public schools is they just want to, kick the can down the road, just like politicians with the budget. And yeah, a lot of schools just graduate kids. They found a majority of kids at the Chicago School District couldn't even read by high school. Yeah. The tech media says, quote, is he Canadian? He says A as his first word. Private Christian schools is better than homeschooling as someone who has done all three, getting 70 likes. I'm a little skeptical because, again, there have been some really good ones and really bad ones for many reasons. Homeschool Queen Bee says correct, and as a teacher standing next to a robot says teachers are using AI to guide students' papers. Then the reaction is students are using AI to solve papers and teachers are using AI to grade them. What's the point of going to school then? Getting 98, let's make it 99 likes. Pregnant Redhead says, quote, Trump is right. Parents, not bureaucrats, should run education. Homeschool wins, game 40 likes. Masculine Base says AI just exposed the rot. Homeschoolers are the last line of real learning, getting 65 likes. Shara Stock says, quote, to be fair, they will just use AI for the jobs they get to, and then just end up getting replaced by it when their employers realize there's no point in paying them, getting 327 likes. Is there any contrarian statements? Bartme says, quote, I was on the board of a classic Christian school. We use zero technology to deliver instruction and require handwritten assignments. We read classics and original sources. Graduates from school like ours will be the last ones turning out young people who have a true education, getting 392 likes. Agreed. Let's see. Warwick Wade says, quote, education is not defined as acquiring knowledge, such as learning to use a machine to produce things. These students are, quote, learning to innovate to achieve a desired result. Game 13 likes. Avery Lawton says, quote, do you hate calculators too? Serious question. We used to plot vectors by hand. Now we use software to model bridges, circuits, and fluid dynamics. What was the death of engineering or just the birth of better? Was that the death of engineering or just the birth of better tools? Get 102 likes, which that is an interesting point. I mean, back in the day, and man, one of the coolest teachers they had mathematics growing up was Mr. Pitt, and he actually would bust out a slide rule, which they used before calculators. And I mean, it was just comical to see how back in the day they'd actually use the slide rule and go on the eBay and check them out. They look really cool, and they'd use that before calculators. And calculators came around, and there's a similar debate where they said, this is going to make people stupid, which in a way it kind of did, because a lot of people's mental math on the top of their head has decreased throughout time. But those teachers also said you'll never have a calculator in your pocket. Now we have cell phones. Now I would actually argue it did maybe shift your knowledge in terms of, you could debate, do you think people get dumber, or did you take that same resource allocation in your brain and think to apply it to someone else? Now I think AI is a whole new thing, because in some cases it's doing it all for you. Like, again, it's not financial advice, but a couple weeks ago I was curious about, like, give me a list of the top 10 dividend-paying stocks out of the S&P 500 and their propensity to grow throughout the next couple of years. And I just asked, I didn't use ChatGPT. In that case, I used Grok from X or Twitter, and it gave out a pretty cool report. And again, it's not financial advice. They also have the disclaimer. But again, at the end of the day, made the decision of where to invest. That just that didn't come up in that case. It did not come up with new data per se, but it gave me a concise summary of the data that would have taken me a little while to find manually. But that's kind of, to my analogy of the calculator, that's where I would agree. Now the issue is, if you ask these tools to make you something like write you a short story about X, Y, and Z, and you're not making edits, you're not really changing anything at all, you're not really contributing. In that case, I think it does change more from an evolving tool to more of a crutch, where it's actually taking away your ability to learn and grow and develop. But it is interesting to try to make that parallel with calculators, because teachers and people throughout time have had these very similar debates. I think the more advanced ChatGPT as well as Grok get, the less it becomes an evolution of a tool, and the more I'm concerned that it is actually replacing more and more of our mental think capacity. But on that interesting note, let me in the comments, do you think this is a good thing? Will it be used as a tool or more replacement? As always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Even if it takes me a couple days to get back to you with my work schedule, I appreciate your patience. But as always, appreciate the feedback, even if it's negative. Any critical feedback, also appreciate it. So let me know in the comments below your thoughts and what I can do better today. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, try to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, anyone, everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.